This is the newly released Colamy Lumidesk standing desk, and this is the Atlas ergonomic office chair. In this video, I'm going to be going over everything that you need to know about both products in detail, to hopefully help you make the decision on whether you want to add one or both of these to your own setup. Before continuing, I do want to mention that both of these products were sent out to me free of charge by Colamy, but I'm not being paid to make this review, and while Colamy has reviewed this video before I publish it, they did not tell me what to say, and every opinion given is mine and mine alone. So we're first going to start by unboxing and assembling the Lumidesk. As you'll see, the entire building process honestly wasn't that bad. The desk does come in two separate boxes, one for the frame and one for the tabletop. I actually opened the frame box first, which I don't think is the correct way. It all went really smoothly and it was pretty straightforward, but the instructions are in the tabletop box. Either way, both pieces of the desk were packaged really well and were also sorted so it was easy to find each part. So that's also another plus. I'd also like to mention the included Allen wrench tool. This tool was so much easier and just smoother to work with than the really annoying Allen wrench that most things seem to come with. You'll actually see it throughout the entire video because it comes with both the desk and the chair. But again, I wanted to mention it because it made building this so much easier. After assembling the frame, I went ahead and opened the tabletop box. In the tabletop box is an envelope. When opening that up, you'll find a warranty card, as well as an installation manual and usage instructions. After fully unboxing the tabletop, the first step in the instructions is to remove all the pre-assembled parts on the tabletop. I did do this, but I forgot to click record. Next is to remove these two pieces of metal from the frame, which obviously I went ahead and did. After that, I attached the frame to the desktop. The next instruction is to plug the frame into the desktop power source so that the motors in the frame can work. The next instruction is to plug in the desk and raise the legs to be able to fit the bottom piece back in place. This obviously helps you make sure that the desk actually works, but it's also necessary to be able to fit the bottom piece that I took off earlier back on. I actually ended up not putting one of the pieces back on because personally I prefer that spot not to be covered for cable management. After completely building and setting up the desk, it was now time to unbox and build the chair. Just like the desk, the Atlas chair was packaged really well, and the instructions were extremely easy to follow. The overall building process was actually surprisingly fast and easy. The one part that was kinda tough was putting the armrest on the seat, but after sitting the upside down cushion on my legs to get it off the ground, it was a lot easier. In the instructions, it says to put the backrest on before putting the seat on the piston, but if I'm gonna be honest, that would make it so much harder, so I just put the seat on the piston first. And obviously, just like I said, after that, I real quick put the backrest on. And after that, the last thing I had to do was put the headrest on the chair. So with the full unboxing and setup out of the way for both products, I'm first going to be going into the Lumidesk. The frame on the Lumidesk is made from a mix of aluminum and steel, which makes it pretty durable to scratches or dings, and as well as that, it also has a pretty unique looking design, which I personally haven't really seen from any other standing desk. Before actually getting to try out the desk, I was actually kind of worried on how much legroom you'd have and if it would be an issue when just sitting down like normal. But after actually using the desk, I'm happy to say that this really is not an issue, at least for me. And with the included spot to rest your legs, honestly, it's really grown on me. Moving up, the desktop is made from a sheet of real veneer wood and has an incredibly soft feeling to it, although it obviously does still have some wood texture. I think it looks great with the beautiful wood grain, and since it has such a nice finish to it, it looks and feels extremely premium. The edges of the wood desktop are also very angled and rounded on every corner, and while the angle does make the desk look really nice in my opinion, I could see how that could be a slight issue when trying to mount things to your desktop depending on the mount, obviously. The wood desktop is quite thin at less than an inch of thickness, but there's basically no concern of durability since the frame supports the entire top other than the very edges. On the top back of the tabletop is this relatively large grommet with plastic around it. This can be used to easily route your cables from your peripherals or really anything else you have on the desktop, and if you paid really close attention while I was setting the desk up, you would also notice the outlet right under the grommet to super easily plug in a power strip for better cable management. In addition to that, the included tray, which I actually didn't install, can also be used as a cable tray if you're looking to just stuff your cables in a spot and forget about it. So if you're the type of person to just not really want to deal with cable management, then this tray will actually be pretty useful for you. On the front right of the desk is a height adjustment controller. This can be pulled up or down to adjust the height of the desk, which ranges from a maximum height of 47 inches all the way down to a minimum height of 29 inches. The little screen on the controller also tells you what specific height you're currently at. For reference, I'm 5'10", and when standing at the desk, I personally find it the most comfortable at about 42 inches high. This height gives my arms a super comfortable 90-degree angle, which is what you want when standing with a standing desk. And since 42 inches is pretty far from the max height, even if you're extremely tall, this desk will definitely get high enough for you. As well as that, when sitting, I also prefer to have it at the lowest point of 29 inches. The adjustment controller also lets you have up to 2 separate presets, one for standing and one for sitting. You can set these presets up by bringing the desk to your preferred height, double-clicking the button on the right side of the controller, going down to the cloud icon, and either setting it to preset 1 or 2. After doing this, all you have to do is either double press the controller down to go to your sitting preset or double press up to go to your standing position, which I find super convenient since you can go do something for the few seconds that it takes to go up and you're not just kind of standing there. In the controller settings, there's also a couple other features, such as a customizable timer to remind you to sit or stand. When having this timer on, the screen will also have a progress bar, and when the timer ends, the controller will vibrate until you change the height. The button on the left side of the controller also lets you quickly enable or disable this feature. There's also a lock, which makes it so the controller does nothing until you put a little code in. So if you have small children who may come over and just kind of mess with the controller, then you can put the lock on and not worry about them changing the height of your desk. When it comes to the dual motors in the frame, they move up and down pretty fast at a little over an inch per second. They support a weight of up to 176 pounds. When changing height, they're also really smooth and are surprisingly quiet at less than 50 decibels. Here's a quick non-scientific test of what that sounds like realistically. The Lumidesk also has a gyroscope sensor, which will automatically stop the desk from lowering further and slightly raise it when it senses any external force, which I actually tested with my leg being the sacrifice, and it worked as it said. On the underside of the desktop is also a built-in felt line drawer, which is pretty large, being a little under 25 inches by 12 inches. And while it's not very tall, you can definitely store a lot of papers, pens, scissors, or a lot of other everyday items, which I find pretty useful. Before getting into the Atlas chair, which I'll go over in like 2 seconds, I real quick want to mention this included desk mat. It's made from what seems to be real leather, although it could be fake leather. Either way, it's actually surprisingly well made, feels very premium, and it also has really nicely stitched edges. Now with the Lumidesk out of the way, it's now time to get into the Atlas ergonomic office chair. The overall build throughout the chair is made from a mix of aluminum and a nice feeling plastic, which makes the overall materials used on the chair feel pretty premium. The seat on the Atlas is made from a dense foam, which at first glance before sitting down you may think feels a bit stiff and hard, but when sitting it genuinely feels extremely comfortable while still being really supportive. The seat cushion is wrapped in this really soft fabric, which feels great and isn't uncomfortable even if you're wearing shorts with bare skin touching it. One thing you will notice about this chair is the amount of adjustability it gives you and how easy it is to change all of it. And when it comes to the seat cushion, that's no different. Replacing the standard long levers on the bottom of your chair are some really intuitive and easy to use knobs and levers. When pulled out, the first lever lets you adjust the height of the chair. To the left of that lever is a knob which can be spun left or right to either tighten or loosen the amount of force the backrest has when leaning back. Speaking of leaning back, to the left of that knob is another lever which allows you to lean the seat back into 3 separate positions. Unfortunately, this chair doesn't have a built-in leg rest, which I always love, but if you're pairing the Atlas chair with the Lumidesk, you can just use the desk leg rest, which I find myself doing a lot. Other than that, when fully leaning back, the Atlas feels super sturdy, and even when trying to rock the chair, there's basically no way to accidentally fall. Before moving on, there's also one more knob on the left side of the chair, which when turned will slide the seat forward or back, which just like every other feature on this chair that I've mentioned, lets you dial in the comfort to your specific liking. Speaking of comfort, obviously helping with that is the backrest. It's made from a super breathable mesh, which just like the seat is super soft and feels great with no snagging on clothes or feeling rough on skin. It has a very seemingly exaggerated curve to it, but when sitting down, it genuinely feels extremely supportive and natural on your back, and just overall feels really nice. Behind the already great lumbar support is an adjustable piece of plastic, which can be moved up or down depending on what you find most comfortable. This doesn't actually make the backrest push farther out, but it does add a bit more support and prevent the mesh from bending too far in a spot where your back should be supported. Above the backrest of the chair is obviously the headrest, which is made from the same material as the backrest, and just like the rest of the chair can be adjusted a decent amount. You can raise or lower it from a ton of different positions by just pulling up on it a bit, and when you want to lower it, you'll just need to bring it to max height, which will unlock it and let it fall. You can also change the angle a bit as well. Moving down a bit, the armrests on the Atlas are actually made from plastic, but are super soft to the touch, and while they are quite stiff, they are still squishy, and even when trying to dig my elbow into the material, it still feels perfectly fine, which is actually quite impressive. The armrests can also be adjusted quite a lot, being able to move them left and right, forward and back, angle them, and if you look down a bit, you'll also notice this little button, which when pressed down can raise or lower the armrest a pretty big amount and can be stopped anywhere in between the highest and lowest point. Personally, I do wish that the armrest went a bit higher, but for most people, I'm sure that the range is perfectly fine. One thing that I do want to mention before moving on is that when the armrests are at their max height, they do wiggle a decent amount left and right. This isn't necessarily an issue or especially a deal breaker, but it is something that I noticed and I obviously wanted to mention. Moving further down is the 5-star base, which is made from a sturdy aluminum with a bit of plastic on the bottom. It's actually pretty wide, which is why the chair is so stable, and is also super smooth and rounded. So if you're the type of person to sometimes rest your feet on this part of the chair like I do, then it'll be pretty comfortable. If that's not something you've ever done, then just disregard this. I might be kind of weird. When it comes to the wheels, there's not much to say, but they are made out of plastic, and I did notice that when rolled on hard floor, they're much quieter than other chairs that I've had. So if you're planning on using this chair on hard floor, then that's definitely a benefit. Lastly, the pneumatic cylinder or piston under the chair is very smooth. As you saw earlier, it has a really high max height, so if you're extremely tall, then this will not be an issue, and it also has a max supported weight of 300 pounds. So after completely going over both the Lumidesk and Atlas chair, what are my main takeaways? Starting with the Lumidesk, honestly, I've really loved my time with it. As I showed you, it's extremely well built, and honestly, I'm really looking forward to using it more when I build my office setup. The Lumidesk does come in at a price of $1,000, which I won't lie is quite expensive. However, it does seem to go on sale quite often for a lot cheaper. So if you're interested in it, I definitely keep an eye out for those sales. Either way, the overall desk is really nice and I do recommend it. Now, when it comes to the Atlas chair, it comes in at a very competitive price of only $300, which for the comfort and features it offers, I'd really recommend it to anyone if it's in your price range. So if you're looking for an extremely compelling ergonomic office chair with a ton of adjustability that isn't in the $600 to $1,000 range, then I'm genuinely not sure if there's much better out there. And just like the Lumidesk, I'm genuinely very excited to use it as my office chair. So with that being said, thank you so much for watching. I hope this video helped you out on whether you want to buy these products or not. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope to see you in my next ones.